When Maja Reynolds first set foot on the prestigious Skyward Aviation Academy, nestled in the blistering heart of the Nevada desert, the sun beat down relentlessly on the polished tarmac, casting long, sharp shadows across a place built not just on concrete and steel, but on privilege, ego, and inherited legacy. And as she walked through the front gate wearing worn-out jeans, a faded gray t-shirt, and old canvas sneakers that had long since lost their shine, carrying a weathered cloth satchel across her shoulder, she instantly became the target of sneers, stares, and whispered jokes from those who believed the academy was only for the chosen few, the sons and daughters of billionaires and generals, not for someone who looked like she came straight from a repair garage. And when a security guard at the entrance blocked her path with a smirk, mocking her outfit and asking if she was lost, suggesting the janitorial entrance was around. Back, Maja didn't flinch, didn't respond, didn't even blink. She simply stared ahead with the kind of focus only a real pilot could possess, and walked past him as if his existence was irrelevant, her silence louder than any insult. And as she moved toward the reception hall, students, in tailored flight suits adorned with family crests and corporate logos, turned to gawk at her, their voices filled with smugness as they made sarcastic remarks about thrift store fashion and charity cases wandering into restricted airspace, all of it bouncing off Maja like pebbles off armor forged in the crucible of real combat. For none of them knew that she was no ordinary applicant, no naive hopeful looking for a scholarship. In truth, she was a lieutenant colonel in the United States Air Force, a decorated F-35 pilot with more flight hours and combat missions under her belt than most of their instructors, a woman who had led operations across hostile skies and emerged as a quiet legend, and more ironically, she was the anonymous donor who had bankrolled much of the Academy's scholarship program for disadvantaged youth. Yet she chose to walk in without revealing her rank or status, testing not just their simulators, but their values. And the test began to fail from the moment she entered the room, as a receptionist rolled her eyes and muttered about another dropout trying to look brave, handing Maja a registration clipboard with clear contempt, which Maja filled out calmly under the alias M. Ray, while nearby a group of aviation influencers, social media personalities with large followings and inflated egos, noticed her and immediately began recording, mocking her outfit, her bag, even the way she stood, all for online content. And at the center of it was Victoria Blackwell, daughter of the Academy chairman, draped in a custom navy blue flight suit, with diamond-encrusted aviators who approached Maja with the grace of a queen and the cruelty of a viper, circling her like prey, laughing loudly and saying things like, "Do you even know how to spell aircraft?" and "You look like you flew in on a broomstick," while the surrounding crowd laughed and jeered, but Maja stood motionless, unfazed, her silence sharpening their discomfort. And as she waited for the simulator test, things grew worse. A technician deliberately reassigned her module to a faulty pod. Someone tampered with the environmental settings to simulate extreme turbulence. And when she finally entered the cockpit, the controls were misaligned. The radar flickered with false threats, and a voice over the speaker mockingly encouraged her to try not to crash before takeoff. And yet, she adjusted, adapted, countered every miscalibration with calm, precise inputs, until the entire simulator system shut down, triggering a forced crash notification, and the cadets outside burst into exaggerated applause, with one shouting, "Ladies and gentlemen, the broomstick crashes," while another laughed about sending her back to the thrift store. And Maja slowly stepped out of the pod, still silent, still composed. But the damage was done in their eyes, and Captain James Harrington, the Academy's top instructor, a man known more for arrogance than mentorship, marched across the hangar, took her printed application from a clipboard, and dramatically tore it to pieces in front of the assembled cadets, declaring, "This place is for real pilots, not for washed-up mechanics who think they can earn wings by wandering in off the street," tossing the shreds into the trash as the crowd cheered, and Maja, expressionless, gathered her satchel and walked out, every step echoing with a weight no one else could feel, because what they didn't know, what they couldn't know, was that the next day everything would change. For as the Academy prepared for its annual VIP demonstration with generals, CEOs, and journalists in attendance, champagne flowing and velvet ropes stretching across the tarmac, an unannounced blip appeared on the radar, moving fast, too fast, cutting across the sky like a blade, and within seconds, a sleek, silver lightning. F-305 fighter jet broke the sound barrier and performed a flawless triple roll over the runway before touching down with surgical precision, its afterburners whispering against the wind, and as the crowd stared in stunned silence, the cockpit opened and outstepped Maja Reynolds in her full flight suit. The same woman they had laughed at now emerging like a titan from the clouds, her medals glinting in the sun, her oxygen mask clipped to her hip, her hair tied back with military discipline. And, before anyone could speak, a Black Hawk helicopter landed nearby and outstepped General Marcus Richardson, head of Pacific Air Command, who walked to the microphone and, with a booming voice, addressed the crowd. "Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Lieutenant Colonel Maja Reynolds, record holder for the longest solo combat flight in U.S. history, veteran of over 80 missions, former commander of the Shadow Falcons, and the anonymous benefactor behind the Skyward Scholarship Fund." And the silence that followed was electric, broken only by the collective gasp of those who realized they had made a monumental mistake. And as Maja walked the length of the runway, her boots clicking softly on the asphalt, cadets stepped back, influencers dropped their phones, and Victoria, Blackwell turned pale, her mouth slightly open in horror, and Maja paused only once, beside the trash can where her torn application still sat, reaching in to retrieve the crumpled water bottle Victoria had poured on her shoes and dropping it gently into the bin, saying softly, "Trash belongs with trash," as the cameras flashed and the crowd erupted into whispers of disbelief, and, when she reached Captain Harrington, she handed him a sealed document, signed and notarized, confirming her purchase of a majority stake in the Academy from silent partners who had long owed her favors, and, as he read it, color drained from his face, and she looked him in the eye and said, "You teach flight, but forgot what makes a pilot," and turned to the audience, announcing that Skyward would become a tuition-free flight program for underprivileged youth, judged solely by skill, dedication, and merit, and that the days of nepotism and mockery were over, effective immediately, and as security escorted Harrington off the grounds and Victoria's enrollment was officially revoked. The press began broadcasting the story worldwide, transforming Maja from an unknown outsider into a legend overnight, with aviation engineers praising her maneuverability. In the F-305, military historians calling her landing one of the greatest modern performances, and pilots from across the globe sending messages of respect and solidarity. And as the weeks passed, the Academy transformed under her leadership, the culture of arrogance replaced with one of humility and excellence, the influencers replaced with real talent, the simulators recalibrated for intensity and realism, and every corner of the airfield now bore the quiet strength of her legacy, and in her final public appearance, standing under the Nevada sun beside a new class of cadets wearing crisp, equal uniforms, she simply said, "I didn't come to belong. I came to build something worth belonging to," and walked off into the hangar, the roar of jets behind her, the future of aviation before her, and the myth of Maja Reynolds now written in the sky.